Hey, and we're back with another episode of the Youth Ministry Booster Podcast, hanging out in the garage with my buddy Micah.
Hey, come on now.
Oh, buddy, what's up, man? We have a travel guest today. Micah coming all the way from beautiful Northwest Arkansas. Thanks, man, for making the drive in.
Hey, thank you for the invite, man. Really glad to be here.
Well, I feel like you'd do anything for coffee and tacos, though.
I would do a lot of things. A lot of things for coffee and tacos. Big Torchies guy, but the Velvet, I'll say it, the Velvet tacos, they were money today.
Oh, okay. Shout out to our non-sponsor sponsor of the podcast today.
Always.
Thank you, Velvet Tacos, for having the full range of tacos today. I mean, I think you had the meat sampler, right?
I had
you had a little
shrimp,
bit of
pork, steak. It was incredible. It was a great day for me.
It was like the sheet came down from heaven, and it was like, take and eat, be blessed, right?
That was a lot of what I feel like the Holy Spirit was in that place.
It was
today.
the Peter's moment.
Yeah,
That's right.
Sure,
that's right.
For
Well,
sure.
it's important that way. Again, we're on Chadcation this week. So new game we want to play, Micah. Chad's not here. Where do you think he's at? Like, just imagine the possibility of where Chad could be today. He's clearly not in Tulsa here on the podcast. Where do you imagine Chad's at today?
Listening to all the podcasts over the years,
just
knowing what I know about Chad.
Yes.
I don't feel like Beachy is the place. That
No, not
feels like
beach.
too easy.
No,
Feels
no,
too
no,
easy.
not too easy.
I would say he's probably in the mountainous regions.
Ooh, okay.
Undisclosed location.
Okay. Deep hour of prayer.
Probably an hour off the main road. Maybe limited cell service.
Okay. Just checked out of life and people.
Yeah. Maybe writing a book we don't even know about.
He actually is writing a book right now.
Come on, you never know.
I won't give the title away yet, but the parent ministry book he's working on, it's due November. So get that stinker done because it's got to come out next year. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I bet it'll be really, really good. And
I'm sure
what we're
it's
talking
great.
about right now, he's probably writing his best moments of that book in this moment.
I bet he is. I bet he can sense our prayers, thoughts and prayers for you, Chad Higgins. Yeah, while you're working on it. But the secret answer is he's probably playing golf. He's a big fan of the golf. Yeah. Okay, so that's I feel bad that you have to spend time with me because he's our resident golf YouTube channel guy. And so at lunch today, I felt fully under-prepared to talk all the deeps and details with you. But YouTube golf is like a whole thing right now.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
do you want to enlighten the people that don't know how big YouTube golf is?
YouTube golf, you can make a fortune if you learn to play golf. First of all, you don't even have to be that good, but if you're funny, you can play golf. Anybody can start a YouTube account.
I like this funny first. If you're funny and can kind of play golf, close enough.
Yeah. Or if you're not funny and you're really good, you can be a really good YouTube golfer.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's money to be made. There's futures, lives to be changed out there on the golf course.
Wait,
but you just have to carry a camera around with you.
Because so what's the problem that YouTube golf is solving? Because we talked about it at lunch a little bit. I love to play golf. I'll go watch people play golf.
Sure.
I rarely watch golf on TV. Is YouTube golf just a better edit of golf? Is that it?
It's relatable. You understand, okay, not everybody's perfect.
Okay.
And so if I mess up, if I make a bad shot, we can laugh it off. We can go,
fun times.
Do great things. It's fun times. I just played golf last week. I got invited to play at a nice course, was really excited, and I played the second worst round of my life ever in front of someone that I really wanted to impress.
Oh, nice.
So had we had a YouTube channel, I would be making a lot of money right now because people would just relate man,
the whoopsies.
I slice it, I draw it unintentionally, all those good things. So yeah. Okay. Lots of fun to be had on the YouTube golf.
Well, and also hijinks, right? Because they're doing funny mini games and challenges. That's one of those. When we travel, Chad always has me. He's watched this clip, and I'm like, okay. But I guess there's whole characters and personalities and ongoing bets and challenges, a whole. It's an ensemble, right? It's a whole thing. Yeah,
for sure. I'm not obviously not endorsing the gambling of golf, but there's lots of fun games to be had. Maybe some pranks and different things you could do.
Gatorade wagers. You buy the Gatorade. Yeah.
Right. The next round of Waters is on.
That's it.
Timmy when he shanks this one out of bounds. Things like that.
Right.
There's lots of fun to be had with golf. I think a lot of times people think golf is for a certain demographic of people, but what we're learning is it's just an everyman's game. You just want to go out there with the boys on a Saturday
for the boys
and just hit and act like you're really good. You can count your score however you want. So really, it's
it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're having fun. We're cutting up. We're having a good time. No, so dude, thanks for coming to hang out on. Sorry, this is not the golf YouTube channel, but maybe this will propel you into
a great second place.
The humor. You're welcome today for the audience to use any terminology from golf of slice, hook, shank, all good. Yeah.
Lots of other terminology we probably can't say on here.
Good. Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, That's a gimme.
It's a gimme. It's a gimme. Oh, good.
Sure.
We're gonna work that in. And 3, 2, yeah. Okay. So, so Micah, dude, you literally brought the coffee. We had the tacos. I'm excited to have you on the podcast today because we've been friends in ministry for a good spell. And one of the things I've loved is just like from brother to brother is watching you grow and lead and do. But for folks that don't know you that well, man, give us the short intro, the Micah Lynn introduction to how you got to where you're at today, serving in Northwest Arkansas, and just maybe just a little bit like, man, you're still doing the thing. Like you're on the crest of 30, and you're seemingly still really excited about the thing. So how did you get involved in the thing that we call youth ministry?
Yeah. So I grew up. I'm a pastor's kid, born and raised.
Second gen.
Come on, second gen. You know what's up. From West Texas. My dad was in ministry my whole life, and about my senior year of high school, we had a student pastor transition. He went to go plant a church, and I got to lead. I had to step into leadership, which just meant nothing crazy, just hanging out with the middle schoolers and really just beginning to engage them, build relationships, and I really enjoyed doing that.
The fundamentals. The fundamentals. That's right.
Stuff. Yeah. Believe it or not, they didn't want a 11th grader up there preaching, which is weird.
Well, that's complicated. Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah.
So yeah, man. So I got to do that for about a year, and really just felt like God was stirring something in my heart. And then I was feeling like maybe that's a call to ministry, even though I didn't know how to articulate that. So as I was playing out this call to ministry, kind of like teasing that out and serving in the church, I had a staff member at my dad's church, and he said, if you're feeling called to ministry, you need to discern if you're actually called to ministry or if you just like being at church. And that was kind of like a, oh, shoot moment. Because my dad, I was always at church.
Yeah.
My dad was a church planner at some point.
What else would you do on a Sunday?
What
What
you're
else?
not
What
going
do
to
we
church?
do? Yeah, like how often can you sleep in? Right,
You play golf on Sundays?
Who has the time?
Oh,
right.
so you're not a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. So man, I just got to figure some of that out in high school, and it was a really cool moment where God kind of affirmed that for me. I thought it was ministry or coaching basketball, and then God kind of closed the door to coaching that route that I thought was going to have, and opened a door for ministry. And so I got to head up to Northwest Arkansas right after I graduated college. Shout out to the Cross Church School of Ministry.
Yeah.
Year 2, baby, class of 14.
Okay.
And so that was a really cool moment where I got to do a residency, learn more in depth behind the scenes. What does ministry look like? What does your job is? Hey, that closet's got to be cleaned out, and you're looking around like, wow, who's going to do that?
Wow,
you are.
You are. Yeah.
So you just build character. You get to watch and observe a lot of different things. And honestly, Zach, I've been really blessed in my life to have a lot of great mentors.
Yeah.
A lot of people have poured into me, believed in me for certain things that I didn't realize about myself.
Yeah.
And so through that, I've just got to see God open some doors, close some doors, see some really cool moments. So
well, and one of the things to make it clear for folks, like you went to school undergrad and studied, but then also did the School of Ministry residential program because again, it was the learning, but also some of the tools and stuff as well. I think that is such a unique trend that we're seeing. Would love to hear from more folks that are in that model of like maybe they're going to Bible college or they're going to seminary or undergrad, but still like one of the things about learning to do the work of church happens in the local church. I think that's a really powerful thing. Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's like if I want to be a pastor, a real pastor, I have to go to seminary and do all these things. And I think I've been to seminary. I think there's great value in doing that. I think you need to know that. But my pastor always says it this way. It's like nobody's really ever come to a meeting with him or come to his office to talk about his view on eschatology.
Right,
but they've always come when they've been found out in some sin, when something tragic has happened in their life.
Yeah.
And so that's
family
real
need,
ministry.
a loss. Yeah.
Exactly. My kids are struggling with this. What do I do?
Yeah.
Not your amillennial, premillennial, whatever
Right. Fill in the blank. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think seminary gives you the great education for that.
Sure.
Prepares you to teach the Bible accurately and doctrine and all those things, which I'm absolutely for. But
shapes you, forms you, but the work.
But it comes back to the truth of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And so that's kind of a mindset of my life that I've tried to live out and just build great relationships with people. And I think if you're in ministry, you're in the people business and you're there for relationships. And ministry moves at the speed of relationships. And so you've got to be able to invest in people.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen some pastors and leaders that are really great in a pulpit, but their people don't know them. And so it's really hard. And I think as we see it, especially with students these days that crave authenticity, that crave being real, being 100 with people, you know, and like that's what they want. And you can't always do that when you're in the office just doing things that make you look good. And
well, so I want you to say a little bit more because this is something that's come back as a theme, like as a perceived need. A reality of ministry is investing in people. Michael, what are some of the things that you've seen or learned or adapted or like really clung to that is that relational work of ministry? 'Cause I think sometimes that ends up being like, for some folks, like a cover or an envelope to like stuff things into, but like for the way in which you're leading your team and doing ministry, what are some of the like, these are the fundamentals that must happen to invest in people?
Yeah, I think when it comes to terms like calendaring and looking at your week, you always, this is what I tell our student team at the church that I serve at, is we always prioritize people. So people over systems, people over projects. Now, do I think you need to get in the office and should you be prepared to preach on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You should have a calendar app.
Absolutely. You should probably use your calendar app.
You should probably mark out the days of your week. Yeah.
If you want to make a big difference in your staff culture, just respond yes to those meeting invites.
That's right. That's right. Let them know. Let them know.
Exactly. But so I'm all for that, but I'm also all for people. And so what I found out is kids are a lot more likely to listen on a Wednesday night to a sermon or a Sunday morning teaching when they know that I've been at a game, when I've texted them about how their test went, when I've asked about how their mom is doing, knowing that she's going through something really hard or has cancer or things like that. When you are with those people in the moments, that is what translates to them wanting to hear the word from you when you're teaching it, things like that. So I think they go hand in hand. So the way that we do that as a staff is like very, very practical is I have a couple of people that work on our team for student ministry. And so every Thursday, it's kind of like the end of our week. I have them send a weekly report of who they met with, what campuses they were on, what students they were with, what leaders they were with, and then anything that they feel like I need to know of, like little Timmy's grandpa is sick in the hospital or anything like that. So we make time and prepare time and have accountability for meeting with people. And I think that's the thing of ministries with people, but sometimes it doesn't always just happen. Like nobody's really walking into my office Monday through Thursday, like, hey, just want to check in, especially with students. You got to go out where they are and get engaged with them and build those relationships. But you've got to prioritize that in your own ministry.
Well, so I think let's say it plain for the folks in the back, like relational work is the proactive work of ministry. I think sometimes that's relationality in ministry is not a characteristic. Like there are some folks that lead relationally because they're warm to be around, or they are extroverted to the point that like they need to be around people. Introverted or extroverted, like whether your systems or what people or procedure, whatever your leadership style is, the relational work that is required in ministry is a proactive work. Like families aren't gonna come barging down your door unless you've been the one to open the door first.
Right.
Or there's like real we are frustrated.
You
want to be there. Well, you want to get there first. You want to get there first.
That's exactly right. So, that's exactly right.
I think it's important to say again and again, like this is like the relational work isn't just those things, but it's doing those things proactively. And like you were saying, putting it on your calendar, like showing up for other people is as much an appointment as the meeting you were going to have with the designer for the camp t-shirt.
Yes.
Both matter a great deal.
Yes.
So,
and I think that's something you and Chad have done really well with this podcast. Even months ago, y'all talked about just utilizing your office time.
Yeah.
Right. So you can make some blocks of time of like, hey, I just got to get this done. It's just got to get done. So I'm going to do it.
Stuff to get done.
So that I can go out and do the next thing. Well, sometimes the next thing needs to be the next person I need to meet with and I need to be invested in. And so putting that in your calendar is just really, really helpful.
Yeah. And again, people in your calendar, your senior pastor is not mad that you got a lineup of people that you have, are, and are going to meet with. They want to see that. Like, put it on the clipboard, put it on the wall, make it visible. It matters.
Yes.
Okay, Micah, one of the things I was going to ask you, because you are, this is a new category, new territory. We now have Gen Z youth ministry leaders.
Come on.
And like, man, you're like one of my favorites. So like, what are some of the things as someone that has grown up in the church? And I think that's probably enough runway to help see what's something that growing up in the church to now serving in the church, like what's changed? Like, because you teased earlier, you're the kid that was always there. As the son of a kids minister, I get it. My VBS cardboard animal collection,
sir,
to see your hymn. Yeah, I get it.
Come on.
we are like what are the things that have changed in a way that it's like formed or shaped your ministry on this side of the thing now?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things as I was thinking about this is style. I think the style in which you guys, every church has a style. If you don't think you do, you really do. So I think the style of
Your,
generations that have
your
come
lack
through,
of understanding if you have a style or not is indicative of the style that you have.
that is exactly right. That's exactly right. But yeah, you
Sit
can
with that one for a minute. Yeah.
Just pause it for a second. Those are
yeah.
that great words from Zach. No, man, I think it's just style. I actually today driving down here, I listened to a song called like "Take It All" back from when we used to sing it when I was
take it all, pump it up,
Jesus. So anyway, I have not heard that song since we played it in our student ministry.
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
2011, 2012.
It's time to bring it back. We know anybody that can bring it back. I mean, that was a little jumpy around it. We were ready for it. Yeah,
That's when you knew you were progressive student ministry if you played that song.
Oh, you got jumps in. Yeah. I mean, some of us out here clapping. If you're out here jumping in the house of God.
No,
Amen.
I was definitely arms crossed in the back kind of guy.
Oh, okay. Preacher's son. Got it.
You gotta know. You gotta know. But man, I think the style of that. So here's what I've learned from successful pastors who've been in it for a long time that I've seen from my seat is the ones who are not afraid to change the style a little bit, not immediately, not necessarily fast, but change the style with generations. And who can coach an older generation to say, hey, if we want to reach younger people, we're going to have to change some of the style.
It's going to have to look a little different.
It's going to have to look a little different. And so I don't think, because this might get different perspectives, not necessarily a hot take. It's just the reality that I've been a part of churches that have done that well. I've been a part of churches that have not done that well. And so it's a give and take.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to serve at a church right now that I think they have done that well. We have people in our church who have seen some things in life who are, whether retired community, whatever they are, they want to reach younger people.
Yeah.
And so our pastor says, well, if you want to reach younger people, here's what's going to take. And they say, okay, they're along for it. So I think a lot of that falls on leadership, but really from the Gen Z thing, it's just style. And then really, I think on a little bit of a more sad note, there's a lot less trust in the church these days, just with different things that have happened in different churches or whatever, and social media and all that stuff. So I think you have to work a little bit harder to earn the trust of younger people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And really be intentional in that. Whereas you used to be able to just say things and people are like, yeah. But now you've got to really...
He said it with religious authority.
Yes.
It must be accurate.
Yeah.
Versus now there's some cracks starting to show. Not necessarily you, but across the board, ministry leader.
Right, exactly. Or little Timmy will say, well, I just Googled this and this is what AI says. So you got to be ready for some of those things.
Dude, that is so real. So that is one of the things that again, I had wonderful youth ministry. I had a wonderful youth pastor, wonderful youth ministry leaders and mentors or whatever. But the world in which the whole internet is accessible to everyone in the pews and the chairs, if they so were inclined to or whatever, that's one of the things that is so different now is that everybody, YouTubers and influencers and Instagram folks or whatever, but I would wager that most of the students in your ministry have some other spiritual figure that's speaking into their life that's not just the youth minister.
Yeah.
Like there is more spiritual authority in their life, right or wrong, because of podcasts and clips and whatever that they're probably hearing from.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I'm a believer. I don't remember who said this, but they said everyone's being discipled by something.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be the word of God and the church is going to disciple them, or school is going to disciple them. Social media is going to disciple them. And a lot of times it's all those at once.
Yes.
And so you really got to be intentional and especially in the student ministry world of how you're using your time to disciple those kids. And so just I think intentionality is a really big word.
It's good.
So.
Okay. So maybe that's the other question or the other half of it. What are some things that haven't changed? So what are some things, again, you're second generation of this, you've grown up and seen it through the lens of a weekly, regular basis. So what are some of the things that are nope, this is still steadfast, this is still true, this is still important? Yeah,
I think for, as much as style has changed and the people style has changed, what I would say has not changed is people. People, in the sense that people still need relationships, people still need community, people still need the word of God. People still need to be in the room to worship God in song and sit under the authority and the teaching of God's word.
Yeah.
So I think those things have not changed. Now, maybe sometimes the vehicle or the personality that's teaching those looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
But at its core, it should be people looking for community, people looking to find Jesus and community at church and things like that. I think those are hopefully never going to change.
Yeah.
I think they're biblical. But I think those are the things that people at the end of the day, they still want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Little Timmy still wants to know that you were there at his game.
Yeah.
He wants to know that he can trust you with something that he's struggling with. Like a lot of those things are not really going to change, I don't think, even if the vehicle of how we find out about those things does.
Well, especially even more so as the messaging in mass in marketing increases, right? Like everybody wants more and more from every agency, group, brand, company, influencer wants your time, attention, and dollars.
Right.
And so to have people, church folks, mentors, pastors that really just actually care, like legitimately, intentionally, and sincerely, and truly care, is kind of the counterpunch. And I think that's one of the things that, like, it seems so obvious. It's like, how could that be true? And it's like, well, because you can't find that anywhere else. And so it still matters.
It's always about,
still matters.
What we say at our church, which we didn't originate this term, but it's all about what we want for you, not what we want from you. And I think that's so,
that'll carry.
You can see that so much in middle school and high school students.
Yeah.
It's like they really don't. Everybody wants something from them.
So many expectations.
And they're being pulled in so many different directions. And so really what they need to know is like, you're for them.
Yeah.
You're for them. You love them. You care about them. So man, I just think that's something that's never going to change. And we just have to continually pour into relationships and people.
Okay. All right. So here's our kind of our beefy topic for the day, because it is back to school season when this episode hits. Everybody back. We all back. And one of the things that either is at the forefront for a lot of ministries or is that kind of lingering, nagging, back burner thing is campus ministry. Either for rightful reasons because we tried it and it didn't work, or we haven't tried it in a while, or the last time we did, or it's the thing that we like are all in on. But Micah, give us a little bit of like a sense. Again, you've been doing the ministry thing for a while. You've served in multiple places. You're now in a situation where there's lots of campuses to be on. Right. Guys, and direct us, how would you advise campus ministry be done really well in 2024?
Yeah, I think, again, what I keep coming back to is the intentionality and really the focus, right? So if you're talking campus ministry, what we mean is going to middle school or high school campuses.
Being on the school, being
present,
at the school. Yeah.
Being there. And I would also argue, which I don't know if we have enough time to get into this today, but I would say social media is a campus that people are at.
Okay.
So I could say you
can
could make
come
that
back
argument.
To that. We're going to pin that one. We're going to put a pin in that one. Yeah.
But we're talking about physical campus ministry. So, for example, going to a student's basketball game, football game, cheerleading competition, whatever it is, chess club, lots of different things that you could be a part of is what I would say is a student ministry worker, not just student pastor, but student worker at all. And I think you'll do it really well if your volunteers are involved doing it, is going to be where your students are. So I'm a big believer that you cannot ask students to come to you on a Wednesday to church if you're not willing to go where they are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at their game and things like that.
The ask goes both ways.
Yes.
Good.
Good. Yeah. That'll get me. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I think, man, I'm a big proponent of campus ministry. This is something in the past few years that I've grown in a lot. When I first got into student ministry, I wasn't that good at it. I was just nervous and I didn't know what I didn't know. So thankfully, I've had cool people around me that have been able to teach me some of those things. So when I think campus ministry, I think simplicity.
Okay.
And I think consistency.
Okay.
So what we don't need is someone to go into the principal's office and be like, I'm going to start a Bible study here tomorrow.
Do all the things.
Yeah. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Here's what that might look like. Emailing the principal ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hey, principal so-and-so, man, we've got a bunch of our students that are going to your school and love what you guys are doing there. I would love to to buy you coffee, to bring you coffee and just have 30 minutes of your time and just talk about your school.
Does your office eat donuts? Yeah.
The answer to that is always yes.
Yes.
I'm not above bribing the front office ladies. They always want donuts, Sonic drinks,
dude.
right? Simple things.
Yeah. Learn the names, learn the treats.
That's exactly right.
Come right.
Come prepared.
Come prepared. Be there. I mean, again, it sounds obvious, but the email ahead of time, introduction, here's who I am, when can I come meet with you, would love to drop coffee by. It's small, but that's the kind of stuff, I think for a lot of people, that's where they get sideways. They don't start right.
Right.
Like this is that missiological approach that, like, if you imagine campus, and that's why the social media pin that we'll come back to in a few minutes is so good. Imagine it as mission work.
Yeah.
It's the mission work of your ministry. What would you do if you showed up as a stranger in a strange land? You would go try to meet with the local authorities in a way that made sense, that was honorable. Again, this is Luke 10 stuff. This is like go with a buddy. It's super awkward.
Person of peace.
Being the dude is like,
yeah.
hey, I'm 29. I'm here at high school. No, you bring a teammate,
That's
right?
exactly
You
right.
show up, person of peace. And again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But there's like guidelines for this stuff. So
That's exactly right.
Say more.
And I'd rather try and fail than not try at all.
Yeah,
And I'm just a believer of that. And so I've sent the
Or
emails.
try again in a few years if the administration changes.
That's exactly right. There's lots of turnover
It's
in
so
this public school
relational.
system.
It's so relational, yeah.
And I'll say this, if you can get in with somebody at the school and build a relationship, sometimes they go to the other schools in your area, depending how big your context is.
Yeah.
And so like I know, because I know a lot of people thinking right now is, well, all my schools are closed.
Yeah.
My schools are closed. I can't go to lunches. I can't do any of that.
It's closed campus.
Right.
Maybe.
But what if
Have
you
you
have the
tried? Yeah,
opportunity to go and make it an open campus?
Yeah.
Maybe it's closed because somebody did something dumb,
Right.
and you can start restoring that relationship. So
Right.
another thing I would say about campus ministry, Zach, is that it's all about the long game. So don't expect to go there and in a month they'll be like, "Hey, here's a passcode or a card to get in the school whenever you want."
Right.
Like you're not looking for that.
You're now Pastor Micah. We bless you. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's just-
Exactly.
There's been a lot of people before you that have come and tried something similar.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I would say, like, man, coffee with the principal, bring it to their home turf, your office. Hey, just want to take 30 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
And
What
only
are
take
your
30
needs?
minutes.
Tell me like what are your challenges? What are your needs?
Well, that's the big thing. It's like whenever you're meeting someone for the first time, you don't want to say, "Here's what I want to do
for you.
Yeah. Here's how I can help you. No.
Yeah. Whoa,
you ask them,
buddy. Yeah.
Because maybe they just need someone in the car line on Thursday afternoons.
Oh, dude, can you imagine youth pastors in yellow vests just out there directing traffic?
Someday.
Dude, my hero at my boys' elementary school is like this like super fit, bald Tim Ferriss looking dude.
Yeah.
When he's there, it's only a couple days a week. When he's there, them cars get moving.
Yeah.
Like
It's
he's
electric.
a hero. I don't know his name, but he's a hero. No
Some
cape,
people can
but he's
do
a
it
hero.
with a smile. There's a school in our area. There's a guy who's always decked out in he's like the resource officer, but he's also bald jacked, and he is the most this way.
Let's
move.
go, let's
We're
do
moving.
it,
We're
let's
go.
do it.
Got
Yeah.
the whistle. Boop, boop,
Boop.
let's go.
And you know what? Stuff happens. He makes stuff happen. Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
through that. That's the fastest school that I can get past.
Yeah.
Is,
Thank
is
you,
that
sir.
school. Yes. The unnamed heroes. Not all heroes wear capes.
That's right. That's right.
But man, intentionality. So I'd say simplicity and consistency with campus ministry. Just start simple, start small. A coffee with the principal.
Yeah.
One thing we're big proponents of is popsicles. All
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah,
for about
yeah.
$3.50, you can get 80 to 100 of the little pop ice
Pop
popsicles.
ice. Yeah, I'm
Come
gonna
on.
say. I was like, you said popsicle. I'm like, hold on now.
Yeah,
because
there's a difference.
popsicles.
There is a difference.
And there is pop ices. Pop ices. Yeah.
If you want to look like an absolute legend at any school campus, find out. Usually you can get access to like a coach's email if you just do some work online.
Yeah.
And you email the coach, "Hey coach," I say, "I'm Micah Lynn. I'm the student pastor at church in the area. Man, I would love to just bless your team one day, and I'd love to bring pop ices after practice." If you go to a middle school or high school dude after they've been in the just for 2 hours,
Sweating it.
just sweating,
Sweating
lifting
it.
weights,
Yeah.
and you give them a popsicle,
Yeah.
I guarantee you they would give me the rights to their firstborn child. They're like, thank you so much.
You saw a need. You filled a need. Well, especially
Yes.
for, and this is a friend of mine's thing. He always talks about like, go be the biggest booster for freshman football.
Yes.
Because middle school football, it's like they're cute, they're figuring it out. Freshman football, because they play on like Mondays.
Yeah.
Like nobody
8?
gives it no Mondays at like 8. Nobody gives any attention to freshman football.
Yes.
And if you're blessing freshman football, like those young men, their coaches and their families are like, this person's a game changer.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Like,
Who is that person?
why is he cheering for our team? There's no one else here.
Yeah. For the 4 parents that are in the stands, they're like, we really like that person.
Which one's your kid? None of them.
Yeah.
Just here for them.
But it's not weird. You know?
I'm here for them. I brought a
I'm
friend. It's fine.
Yeah. So there's been times where I go to campuses and they don't know my name, but I'm the popsicle guy.
Okay.
So then what's funny, Zach, is I'll see
Hold
him.
on, wait. Do you have like what's the cooler situation?
Okay.
We're here for the hacks and the tips.
Listen.
What's the right cooler to get?
There's a lot of different perspectives on this. We have the old school orange igloo cooler that you put like 5-gallon one, and I can fit about 120, 130 of the pop ices in there.
Like vertically, going vertically. Okay,
yes,
okay.
always. You can't horizontal
Dude,
stack. You make
us
that mistake once.
Walk us through.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you carry
you're
that
going,
orange
you're going
cooler.
cylindrical.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No wheels.
No wheels, nothing?
Here's why, because it sticks out. They know. So whenever I walk into a campus, it's almost like these studies, like we did this study with different animals.
Right.
When they see that orange
Oh,
cooler,
that orange caution.
You can feel the tension lift in practice. And everybody's like,
he's here.
He's here.
Now, do you have like the ice cream van? Like do you like playing like a soundtrack? Is it like instrumental Ocean's Muzak when you roll through?
Not
or no?
yet. No, we actually go Waymaker.
Okay, Waymaker. Okay, good.
I just pull up and it's all like, wait, who's that guy? You bring up the orange cooler and like, oh,
Waymaker.
popsicles. Yeah. Let me tell you about my God. So
won't he do it? That's
so
right.
we bring an orange 5-gallon
cylindrical.
There it is.
Just upright. Just bloop, bloop.
Upright.
Okay.
And we set it on the turf. We wait for practice to be over.
And
right.
that's it.
Depending on the team, we can go interact with players. Some teams we can't. And so we're just there. But you know what we do? We ask the coach, hey, coach, I just love to bring popsicles.
Yeah.
If they say why, it's just because, man, we want to be a positive influence in the community. We want to be able to love on students, and we're for students. We're for you. We want to support you. And I think when coaches understand, because think about the pressure that coaches have. Like it's kind of similar to us, right? Like their success is based on the actions of 12 to 18-year-olds, okay? So,
how are you doing at your job? Well, it's how the teens are trying hard.
Yeah, exactly right. And so they feel a lot of pressure. So when they have someone who doesn't want anything from them, they just want to bless them.
Yeah.
They're all over that. I've had very few people be like, no, we don't want that.
Don't
right?
come here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you go there and then you just high five players. Man, hey, that was a great pass. That was a great catch. That was a good block. All those things. And you just fist bump them, high five, and get to know their names. If you know, get to learn 3 or 4 names every time you go, and you're going to build that. Like then you're not the popsicle guy. Then you're Micah. Then you're Zach. Then you're
church.
so-and-so.
Yeah.
So that builds up some connection.
Okay, so question for you, because this is, I think, where some folks either get frustrated or kind of like tail off.
Yep.
The relational work, the friendly work, the consistent work. Like, but when's the payoff, Pastor Micah? Like, when do these kids start coming to my church thing? Like, when is that? Like tell me, promise me the results. Like, when do I get to see them at my practice or whatever? Yeah.
So in campus ministry, we're all about the long game. What that means is you're not going to go for a month and the whole team come to your church. Maybe that'll happen. Praise God.
Yeah.
But
I went for one season and they're all here for D now. Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
But we typically go to the campuses where we have at least one student that's on the football team or that does that, right? So sports are just
there's
easier
already
to
a
get on.
person apiece that's there.
That's
good.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And so we go and we say like, oh yeah, I go to the same church as little Timmy, and we hang out. We're doing this thing. Typically, I'm not there to invite kids to church. That gets a little bit weird. We got a lot of really great churches around where we are. Yeah. And so a lot of kids go to different churches.
Well,
but if they
and that's a good reality. A lot of them probably have tried or go somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm anti like stealing people from churches.
Not a poacher.
Not a poacher. But if they ask me about it, I tell them what I do, who I am.
Yeah.
Man, do you go to church anywhere? Like, you do the church thing? So, get mixed responses with that. And so then if they don't go to church, like, you should come check it out. Like, hey, Aaron goes to our church, man, why don't you go? And he'd love to invite you. We're doing some cool things. So very casual. And
be
then
somebody there you know.
Yeah. Sometimes you get blessed with a coach who's a believer. And like, why don't you invite him to literally everything you do?
Yeah.
And so you can invite him to the dodgeball tournament or the kickoff thing that you're doing.
Because it's not weird for you to invite the adult to the thing. Like you inviting Coach Timmons to the thing, that's just two adults talking.
For sure.
It's weird when they're minors. But you, again, those adult relationships, and I think this was where a lot of folks get sideswiped, is they're only thinking in the terms of direct benefit to their ministry and not to the broader church. Like, man, what a wonderful blessing if there was like a men's or women's group that was connected to the coach, right? Or whatever.
Sure.
So they're coming alongside the coach more than just like, I hope to get these teenagers who will graduate in 2 years to our youth group happenings.
Exactly.
There is a much longer, and you said it right, long game community play for the benefit of the church doing ministry in that town, in that school district, beyond just getting like the basketball starting 5 to show up to D now.
Right, exactly. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think coaches can see through that. And so if
they've heard it.
Yeah. So you're building trust, you're earning the right to be heard and things like that. And And so when you do that long enough, like, yeah, I think at the end of the day, kids are going to come to your church.
Yeah.
But it's really also another positive to be able to be at a campus and say like, hey man, we just love you guys. We just care for you. Like our church loves you, and we want you to know, more importantly, that Jesus loves you. And we want to be able to, you never know the doors that can be opened through a gospel conversation there.
Yeah.
But then when you get them to kind of like, your turf, your church, if they come over to your church, then you can share the gospel. You can have those conversations. And we've seen students that are coming to our church because we started trying to like just love on a football team or a basketball team or a volleyball team 2 years ago. And we're just now seeing the fruit of it. So I would love to be able to sit here today and tell you like, oh, if you just do these 3 things,
6 weeks.
in 6 weeks, it's going to be different student ministry. I'm a believer in consistency in the long term.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that the past 2 years being in this role. And so I think it's just, man, if you could be consistent, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just want things from them, but if you can just show up,
they'll tail
for them,
off, man. That's right. That's right.
right.
Again, there's too many things in our teenagers' life that evaporate, right? Like they live from one reel to the next or from one class period to the next. And so to have something that consistency shines, eventually that will win out, for whatever phraseology you prefer. It will win, it will triumph, will succeed, because most things just seem to fade.
Yeah.
And so, okay. You mentioned earlier, let's bring the pin back, social media as a campus. I want to hear, I like that phrase. I want to hear more about social media as a campus ministry approach.
All right. So
walk it up. Yeah, come on.
Educate
this old man. Educate this old man.
Caveat with, I'm not always the best at this.
Okay.
But it's a reality, and I know there's a lot of different strong opinions about should kids have social media, should they not.
Yeah.
The reality is that a lot of them do.
A lot of do. Not our decision always.
Not our decision.
Yeah.
So my perspective is that if they're going to be there, that's just another opportunity to engage them.
Yep.
I think engagement looks different than posting your graphic of the event that's coming up.
Okay.
I think that's an avenue to communicate information that parents are going to look at, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not what I would call like social
media ministry. Yeah.
So maybe
you just resharing the t-shirt graphic on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good communication, maybe not good media ministry. Yeah, okay.
Exactly right. But maybe you putting some sermon points on there.
Yeah.
Hey, just a reminder on Thursday, let's go and here's what we talked about last night. How does that apply
to your life? If you forgot what I said or you missed it, here it is. Yeah. For all my friends that spent 10 hours on their sermon, why in the world wouldn't you want at least a replay out of it?
Yeah. And it takes such little effort. It takes 30 minutes to put a picture there.
Especially now, like, man, between Canva or recording on your phone or whatever, like the tools that used to be complicated or difficult, you can start a podcast from your phone on your app, that even if it's just for your students that hear, or if you take the time, again, you don't have to be professionally done to be done right for what your students need. Like, man, sit by a window and recap your sermon in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Done. Yeah.
And we're very blessed to have a young lady who goes to our church, and she's really good at social media.
Oh, that's nice.
Very skilled. And so it was funny because we always joke about, like, I was running the Instagram for a little bit when it was just me, and then when she came and she was like, "Hey, do you need some help?" She didn't.
How'd that make you feel, Dad? How'd that make you feel?
I was like, "Oh, do you think something's wrong? Is it not good?
Is something broken?
Is the orange text not good on that picture?" And so she was like,
"More font color, stronger message, right?"
Yeah. Is all caps not good? So she did wonders. You can always say, if you go back to our Instagram page, you can see where she took over.
The handoff.
But that's just another thing, to someone who's passionate about doing it, who's good at doing it, that wants to connect. So she posts, here's the 3 main points in the passage we went over. Hey, what's your takeaway this week?
Yeah.
And then how can we pray for you this week?
Yeah.
And then you post, pictures. You have someone that goes around with like a tiny mic, and they just go like, "Hey, little Jimmy, what was the big takeaway?" Things like that.
Yeah.
So when a lot of that's like led by students, they get more buy-in and stuff like that. So,
and it's a chance for them to have fun with it. Like, that's one of the things in our never-ending quest for, like, we're gonna make it right or excellent. Like, man, like, and we talked about this at lunch a little bit too. Like, so much of what student ministry should be sometimes is a laboratory for learning stuff. Like sometimes it is getting the wrong note or recording the video that I guess it was funny, I didn't get it, but it wasn't appropriate, so we'll run with it. Like, they need some of those opportunities. Like, youth ministry should be a lab for future learning. Like, it should not just be the place where they like receive, but a chance to like create and collaborate. And so social media seems to be one of those that seems to be a chance for new things, especially kids that are like funny or goofy or interested. Like, I mean, I just think about how many students that I had growing up through ministry, that like the cornball, like class clown kid doing the announcements was the gift.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like for shout out for Max and Isaac, like their announcements were far funnier than I could have done or whatever. And as long as they said the 3 things I needed them to say and didn't call anybody names, it worked out great. It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, we used to make the, well, not we, but someone better than me used to make videos. This was right before or right around the time of Facebook. And they would make they would basically spoof video every, like I remember the Friday song that came out.
Yeah.
It was like, here's our announcements in video form.
It's
incredible. Thank God we can't find those.
Oh, they're buried.
Yeah, hopefully.
To live and die in a pre-YouTube age where not everything that you recorded was there. Moment for reflection.
Someday.
Okay, sorry. One more for you, man. And this is, I think, mainly at the heart of just knowing you in the last few years and just some of the things that y'all have, like, I mean, COVID as a piece of it, but then also just as kind of representative of a newer or next generation of youth ministry. What are some things that you're doing or leading differently now? We talked a little bit before the recording today. Like I think this is year 7, you said, like kind of like a 7 or 8 in the ministry. Chad and I have gone on record that there's something that happens between years 4 and 7 that you either like fall back in love with it or you find ways just to coast. And just I'm always encouraged by hearing from you of just like a passion and a zeal to do this. So like man, like what are you doing different? How are you staying fresh and excited about the thing when other folks 7 years into this would be kind of like not over it, but feeling maybe like the burnout or the weariness of it?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple different things. I think it's really easy to feel that kind of weary thing. But when you're making student ministry about students and you get basically a new group of students that bring new energy and new weirdness and all the things, it's exciting to learn about them. And you're like, why are you the way you are?
What did I miss?
So I think, man, when you get to see new students coming in, that helps kind of fuel that of like, okay, a new group of people that we get to engage and get to learn. And man, I just love people. So I think the more that I'm around people, the more I'm around students, the more fired up I get. And I love challenges. And so I think student ministry is a challenge. I think coming out of during COVID was a challenge. Coming out of COVID was a challenge. And now you've just got things you've done differently, maybe some things you got to stop doing and some new things you had to start doing in your whatever ministry context you're in. And so that's exciting to me to figure that out. Now I also want to like caveat and say, because I've heard other leaders on podcasts or videos or whatever say like they wake up and they're just ready to 110% at everything they do. It's not necessarily always like that. You're going to have some bad days. You're going to do something
some
dumb.
Low days, some bummer days.
Absolutely.
That's just part of the journey, the energy cycle of leading others.
Exactly right. And guess what? Other people in other jobs have the same thing.
That's right. And well, man, don't think if you change church locations that would solve it.
Hello.
Sweet. Good. Okay. All right. Anyway. Okay. Moving on.
So, but I do wake up for the most part, excited to do what I get to do. I like to be able to prepare. I like to dream about what God could do in the lives of students. And so I think, man, every year and a half, there's just something that changes, something that's fun that you get to bring in, whether that's a new location, a different service time. Like I think you got to change it up every once in a while. Keep it fresh for yourself. Like if you're feeling like, ugh, another Wednesday, the same old thing. Imagine what your students are feeling. So shake it up a a little bit. Like, hey,
you think you're tired of this?
Yeah. And they maybe they're just too nice to tell you.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
so you gotta change it up a little bit. I'm a big believer that leaders are learners, and so I would just go learn. Go like on social media, see what other churches are doing. Not to compare. Don't get lost in that game, but to see like, hey, why do you structure your service that way?
Yeah.
Why do you do this? What series you guys do? And just message people, call people. There's a lot of people out there who are doing things different, not necessarily wrong, not right, just different. And it's good to be able to learn about those things.
Yeah.
And so,
and being a student of it too, because again, I think that's the temptation is like youth ministry is not complex. Youth ministry is hard.
Yes.
Because you're carrying burdens. You're trying to, there's an emotional and relational load and burden that we carry. There is an energy that we are expected to maintain. Ministry is hard, but again, what you shared about campus ministry, what you shared about leading in a post-COVID age, like some of the work is fundamental, is simple. Sure. It's just the willingness to stay consistent enough when the burden gets heavy, I think is an important piece. Yeah.
And I think something that keeps it fresh, honestly, kind of back to the campus ministry thing, as I was learning, is like there's a lot of other organizations that you think of like FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yeah.
it's fun to try to figure out how can I better partner with them. We're trying to do the same thing. So like, how do we help each other?
Yep.
How do we go figure out like, hey man, you call a buddy, how are you doing school lunches? Do they let you in that? Like, does everybody stare at you when you come in too as the old guy? Like, what's the deal? And
Will
can
you
have
be
some
the old guy
memories
with
like that.
me? Yeah,
exactly. Bring a buddy.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing some campus ministry things and going out of your way to learn some new styles of how to do that, that's fun to me. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then as you bring in new volunteers, it's like you get to show them and start all over again. Why did you fall in love with student ministry? Hey, here's what got me into the ministry. Here's some of the great moments. Like, yeah, it's going to be a frustrating table group for a few months with the 7th grade boys.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if stay faithful, if you'll continue to teach them when they're 8th or 9th grade and they're going through something hard, guess who they're going to call?
Yeah.
Guess who they're going to talk to? The small group leader who is faithful.
That's right.
So, man, when you get to see those things, and now we've got a junior and senior class in our student ministry that's really special.
Yeah.
They were the first group that I started with from scratch when they were 7th graders, and now they're about to be seniors, and they're crazy, and it's awesome.
And
so
man,
that's what keeps me coming
won't
back.
that be like, isn't that a fruitful blessing? And I think that's for anybody that may be feeling in the middle of it right now, if you have been somewhere for a few years and there's still a chance to stay a little longer, there's something about that full life cycle of beginnings of middle school to graduation day that is unlike anything else, unlike having a student just for a few years. When you have been a part of a significant chunk of their formation, like the buy-in that you have for each other is, man, irreplaceable.
Yeah. And there's things to be said about longevity in ministry. And I think in student ministry, longevity doesn't look that long, if we're being honest.
It really,
you know, what's the average, like 2 years
in
or
the long play of things, like you sticking around somewhere 5, 7, 9 years, like is minimal compared to some other folks. But I think the reward, if it's the right place, the payoff is even higher.
That's exactly right.
Man.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, Micah, give us a little bit. If folks want to connect with you more, dude, thanks for coming by today.
What an honor.
If people want to connect with you more, either on social media as a ministry or sneak in to see what you're doing online or otherwise, what's a good place to find more about you on the Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, email, or whatever you use, whatever the kids use?
Yeah. Whatever the kids use these days. My TikTok, no, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty much on Instagram.
I stream on Kick? Yeah.
I wish. I wish I was good enough to stream anything. I'm on Instagram.
We're going to get you a camera on the golf course one day. We're going to make this happen. Yeah. Just follow
me.
I
be a Whataburger influencer for anybody who works at Whataburger.
Tell the camera. Let them know. Best burger joint.
You don't even have to pay me. I'll just do it for
free.
Whataburger.
Just give me,
the game. Just give me a free burger a month, and I'm in.
Patty melts
all the way.
Patty melt payment. Yeah.
Large fries.
Done.
Dr. Pepper. Praise God. No, I mean, I'm on Instagram. You can connect with me at micah.k.lynn. And, you know.
What's the K stand for? What is the K for?
It's my middle name.
Keys?
Yeah, Keyes.
Oh, okay. Like a family name? Or like
actually, it is, yeah. My great-grandma.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Nice. Very cool.
Bless up.
Oh, man. So on the Instagram, connect and do. Micah, dude, thank you so much for coming by today. It has been so fun to continue to learn more about some of our youth ministry friends from around the country. And so we'll see you guys back next week on another episode of the Youth Ministry Booster Podcast.
Snap.